What's going on, everyone? What's going on? A little bit outside of my normal, a little bit of outside normalcy of what I normally chart and kind of look at. But again, I'm always interested in areas of opportunity to find a trade and make some money. Now, with the crypto market, you know, a lot of, I guess, hype and stuff is done around, a lot of the bigger names. But what we're going to be looking at here is Toshi, right? So Toshi is, um, one second as I'm watching this chart. Toshi is really, really good, okay, based on what it did overnight. Coinbase just listed it, I believe, 2 days ago, 3 days ago. And if we kind of scroll back here and look at where we came from when the listing happened, I mean, it's been on a phenomenal run, right? Just essentially straight up. It's it's also kind of respecting a lot of good technical analysis areas as well. So again, if you just stumble upon this live stream or you rewatch this video and maybe you're holding Toshi, maybe you're interested in buying it, but you're concerned about, is the top in, or you don't want to get rugged, something like that. Just follow the technicals, okay? So we had an insane push to about 25. Okay, so when we push to 25, an immediate pullback, but the pullbacks are good because you want to see accumulation and you want to see if the buyers are strong, right? And clearly overnight, it was an easy double, triple up, right? Depending on when you bought, an easy double, triple up. Now, what's going to happen is a lot of your short term, bigger whale traders, they're going to get in 100,000 in, 50,000 in, take out 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, so forth and so forth. Again, for some of you smaller players out there who might be holding smaller size, kind of wondering, where potentially can this price go? Where's the top? Where are we pushing to? Again, it's all about the narrative. So with this being, the first, kind of big meme coin that is being posted on Coinbase, it's not even listed on all the exchanges yet, right? So, does Binance pick it up? Does Robinhood pick it up? We'll have to see later on this week. But what I'm looking at is just purely technicals, right? Just purely technicals because the narrative is there, okay? It flipped Brett in terms of market cap earlier this morning, which a lot of people, I was just kind of looking around Twitter, a lot of people very excited about that. Now, again, I trade stocks, I trade futures, I trade the NASDAQ, but I also will dip my toes into a beautiful looking chart. And this chart is beautiful in terms of what the potential can be, right? So even from here, I still think, regardless of where you're going to put your money, you want to definitely buy on the pullbacks. You don't want to buy, as we're surging through all-time highs, you want to definitely buy on the pullbacks. This first pullback that we had realistically after touching 25s, once we got over 22, 23s, was a great pullback because I pretty much drew a Fibonacci retracement level. If you're not familiar with Fibonacci retracements, it's just going to give you, different areas of support and resistance. Going to where we started the listing on Coinbase to the high, okay? And if we kind of look at the pullback, we're in zone with that 15 through 17 price point, okay? So when you start thinking about that, that was a healthy kind of pullback for a continuation higher. Now, going to where we currently stand as of now, trading at 19, we're quickly testing this 20, but this 20 is going to provide a lot of resistance. Okay, so we're going to have an initial reaction around 20s all the way up to the all-time highs. Okay, so that zone could definitely be a little bit choppy. Now, what I can see happening here is if we do continue to kind of break up above 20 and pull back again, instead of maybe pulling all the way back to 15, 16, maybe we stop at 18. So what you want to see happening is you want to see good accumulation at certain areas. Okay, what you don't want to see is the chart to pull all the way back to like 9. You don't want to see it pull back to 10. In that type of scenario, it doesn't mean that the overall trade is done and trade is over. It just means it's going to take a little bit more time, right? A little bit more time to where everyone wants to see this thing go. Now, ultimately, if we do break out above 25s, okay, it's got a straight shot because it's at all-time highs, because it's close to $1 billion market cap. it can definitely run. Now I'm seeing a lot of things on Twitter, $5 billion market cap, $10 billion market cap, so forth and so forth, 20, 50, whatever the case may be. That's not going to happen overnight, but it doesn't mean that there's not going to be money to be made very, very quickly. So again, position yourself strategically. Make sure you're kind of loading up on the dips. You definitely don't want to be buying as we're just surging higher, right? Again, I was around trading during COVID, during the pandemic, during the big NFT, like I was around for a lot of it. Okay. Literally, like, put it this way, literally when you could just put money in anything and everything goes up, right? So we're going to get to that euphoric state across the market in crypto as a whole and in altcoins as a whole in 2025. You just have to make sure that you're playing it safe, right? It's none of this stuff where, I'm going to hold this and I'm going to hold this to the moon, right? The moon for you could be different than someone else. The moon for someone else could be they 10x their money, they 2x their money, they 5x their money. And the moon for someone else could be, oh, I need 100x, right? So again, make sure you're always playing it smart. But again, you don't want to get out of a strong name like Toshi before the actual move has really started. Now, again, this has been a great, fantastic move, but I still think there's higher. There's still a lot more potential to go here, just based on the technicals, just based on the chart, okay? You got to think about it. A lot of these moves in crypto happen in the overnight session, right? In overnight. There's a lot of your general retailers, a lot of your your gen pop, let's call it, that has not even heard of Toshi, that has not even, logged into their Coinbase yet. What is the initial feeling when you log in and you start to see, wow, 100% return? This thing is up, 90% overnight. You feel like you missed the boat, right? So what that does is it starts to create a little bit of a wave and a ripple effect downline. Now, the thing is you don't want to be always the last person holding this bag. There's definitely going to be a rotation from Toshi into something else. As soon as Toshi kind of finds its discovery price where it's going to kind of hang out at, there'll be a big blow off top, and then it'll kind of find a discovery price like everything else, and then it'll kind of just trade there for a while until the next cycle or next run. And again, with a run like this just starting, you have to anticipate that there's still more to come in this, right? Even if, there's a lot of people who have been holding for a very, very long time when everyone was saying that this token coin meme was dead, right? I mean, notice all this time back here where you're essentially just sitting. Now, again, for the people who were buying and accumulating and just holding on for dear life the past 6 months, 10 months, 12 months, I mean, yeah, those people are probably feeling very euphoric right now and they're selling on this pump. But for everyone else who's kind of missed the boat, and maybe when you get around to seeing what this is doing, you're kind of buying in maybe here, you're buying in maybe here. Where's the next spot to buy in, right? So if you kind of look at how this chart has performed over the last couple of days, look at how natural and organic it has moved, right? You break out of resistance, kind of putting in a new high, and you pull back, healthy, right? Accumulate, and then you start to trickle and grind higher, and you break those highs, put in a new high, pull back, accumulate, back test that previous area of resistance, which was that former high, to put in the new high. Each time it's done that, it is consistently put in new highs. Now, the volume has definitely spiked. The chart has definitely, gone absolutely diabolical overnight. Okay. I mean, just for reference, I mean, you could have put $1,000 in overnight, woke up today, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, right? Depending on what price you bought it at yesterday. So definitely good money to have been made in this. I still think there's a little bit more, even if you are a little bit late to the party. Again, Coinbase is where you can kind of pick this up at, and you can go from there. So what I'm currently looking at here is we've got a strong downtrend, right? So this white line that I'm looking at is a very strong downtrend that we're looking at here. I've also got a resistance zone here between 19 and 20. What we're going to need to see have happen in Toshi is we're going to need to close over 19 or 20 and then back test. As soon as we can build a floor over 20, you're going to start to see that push up towards 23, 25. Okay. We'll talk about what can happen once we get there. We got to do one thing at a time, right? So the first thing here is to continue to dollar cost average into this on the dips and wait for that firm 20 break and hold. Now, when we broke over 20 the first time and we kind of put on that blow off top here, we tried to establish support at between 19 and 20. Okay, it tried once, it bounced, failed to put in a new high, and then absolutely collapsed. When I say collapsed, it doesn't mean that it's going to zero. What I mean is it collapsed into the next area of support to see if there's buyers there. And it looks like between 15 and 17, this is going to be a pretty firm area of support until further notice, right? So again, play the chart for what the chart is doing right now. Okay, what the chart is doing right now is we've got a firm support between 15 and 17. If we lose 15, 17, we can start talking about lower prices, lower, areas to kind of dollar cost average into this, if that's still going to be your play. But you can see we're performing pretty decent. I'd like to see the push up over 20 and hold. Now, when I say I want to see the push over 20, I don't just want to get here right now where we're kind of at between 19 and 20 and then say, okay, that's the push. No, I want to see a push into 21s, into 22s, into 23s. Once I see that, I want to see a pullback once more. Okay, I want to see that pullback once more into 20s, and then I want to see that one hold. Okay, so when that one holds, then that's going to give me a little bit more confidence that we are going to blow off this top of 23 to 25. And once we blow off the top between 23 and 25, it's going to look like 30 and 40 is coming very, very quickly. I wouldn't doubt if you see a double up in a week. Again, depending on what happens. Binance hasn't listed it. Robinhood hasn't listed it. There's a lot of other places where you can buy, haven't listed it yet, right? So what do you think that's going to do to the overall price once a lot more of these people have only heard what Toshi's been doing, right? So again, we have to wait and see, but it's all going to really come down to what is your goal, right? What is your goal? How much did you invest into this? What are you exactly looking for in terms of return? Some people are just looking for a 1x double up, right? Like, so you got in yesterday, you put in 10,000 this morning, you woke up, you're 2-3x up, right? You're 1.5 2x up. 10,000 to 20,000 is not bad. 10,000 to 20,000 is not bad, right? So when you think about it, $20,000 profit, $10,000 profit overnight is not bad. It's only natural that you're going to get those type of players to sell out of their positions, right? It's only natural because that's the style of trader that they are. That's the style of player that they are. Okay. Now, for a lot of other people, it's more so a buy, hold, diamond hand type of thing. Where can we go to the moon? Blah, blah, blah. Right. So the first thing that I was kind of seeing on Twitter was let's overtake and let's flip Brett. That happened. Now, are we going to continue to hold Brett, or is it going to kind of trickle here? I'm also saying, this is the SHIB of 2025, so forth and so forth. Could it be? Maybe. Right? Maybe this is that kind of kickstart, because a lot of people, since, Trump has taken office, they're hearing crypto, and the crypto market has been relatively quiet, right? Ever since the Trump launch, it's been relatively quiet, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's kind of moving in silence until some things start to kick off. Now, again, unless we're going to get into, your one-off pumps on Pump Fund and stuff like that, that's not really what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a little bit bigger names that have a little bit more potential. Other than that, I better, sell before I get rug type of play. Nothing has really been screaming to the upside, right? We're hearing a lot of chatter on XRP, a lot of chatter on ETH, right? I mean, if you look at kind of what Donald Trump and his, I guess core, group or whatever we want to call him, has been buying, Link, HBAR, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Sol, right? They're kind of loading into these positions very sneaky and very quietly, but yet with not a lot of movement. Okay, not a lot of movement yet. Now, what you're going to want to see is something to kind of kickstart it. Was the Trump token coin the start that's starting to gain interest? Because if you look at the market, you need to bring liquidity into the market. Okay, you need to bring fresh liquidity. Sure, if you've been playing the markets, this does not apply to you. Okay, if you've had money in the markets, this does not apply to you. What it applies to is the fresh money that is sitting on the sidelines. In order for these things to pop and start to get heavy rotations, where you can maybe make a nice bag on Toshi and then move that into the next hot mover, and then take your money from there and then move it into, something bigger that might be moving, that might not give maybe a 10x return, but might be an easy 2 or 3x return. the money rotation needs to start. I think Trump has brought in a lot of liquidity with the coin, right? And then being listed on, you know, Robinhood and Coinbase and everything else makes it a little bit more easily accessible to the normie, right? To the normie. So when you're just the normie, you're not going to go out there and you know, set up a phantom wallet or set up a, you know, a jupe wallet, or you know, you're not going to do all of the swaps and all that stuff. What you want to do is go to an exchange, and depending on your location, if you're in the United States, preferably a United States exchange, where you can link up a bank account, a debit card, and say, hey, everyone's talking about Trump coin, everyone's talking about this Toshi, everyone's talking about XYZ, whatever pops up. I just want to buy it. Like, I don't want to transfer money from one token to another token, from one platform to another platform, do all this swaps when I have no idea how to do that, right? So when you think about it, the accessibility of something like Toshi is pretty exciting and big, because your regular normie can go out there, download the app, link their bank account, and start buying. And the more that they hear that it is pumping, the more that it is holding, the more they will continue to jump into the name. Okay? Give me 1 second here. So we're pushing over these 20s. I want to see the 20s hold. If you kind of focus on the chart here and you look at this red line here, this is exactly what we're looking at. Now, I'm looking at a 5-minute time frame. We can definitely get down into something smaller like a 1 minute and kind of look at the same levels on a little bit smaller of a scale here. So we're breaking over these 20s. We've got a little bit of a firm resistance level here between 20 and 21. We want to see this hold. Again, your pullback definitely has room to pull back all the way to 18s, if not 17s. You want to see these areas hold. Okay, you want to see these areas hold. Now you're also creating a little bit of a smaller downwards trend line here. So if I was to draw this, it would be 2 touch points where we finally broken out. So if this doesn't continue to scream up towards highs, you can probably expect that pullback into 18s. Again, if you're trying to get in, maybe 8 to 17s to 18s might be a good spot to add, because I can see it pulling back once more. Now, if we just hold, right? If I do this last swing high to this swing high, and I kind of draw my line across there, then you're going to see a little bit of support at around those 19s. So that's ultimately what you're going to want to see. I've got a couple of different trend lines here that we can kind of follow as this continues its run. But again, kind of just more so right now in a little bit of a distribution consolidation type phase, not so much of a pump. Like, if you guys were watching the chart this morning, watching the price this morning, it was just absolutely ripping out of its mind, right? So right now we're in a little bit of that pause stage, which is fine. That's what you want to see. You want to see that type of stuff, because that's what's healthy. I know a lot of times that, you know, the regular normies, the regular people that want to, you know, pump this to the moon, you just want to see it go up and up and up and up and up without ever a pullback, without ever a red candle, without ever a downtick, right? You just want your P&L to just be green, right? And it can be green, but there also needs to be a little bit of pause, right? There needs to be a little bit of rest and relaxation to accumulate, to give the person, the normie who's just waking up right now. Again, if you're in California, it's, you know, 9 a.m., right? So, and it's Sunday, and it's football Sunday. So when you think about all of that, you know, people are barely getting up, and they're barely starting to check their phones, and they're barely starting to see the fees. You want to give those people a feeling of they can still get a good price. If this was just to continue shooting higher and higher and higher and hit that $1 billion market cap, it kind of feels like, oh, well, I missed the boat, right? Right now, a lot of people are not really feeling like they've missed the boat. Sure, you've missed a lot of it, but you haven't missed the boat, okay? So just give me 1 second here, guys. I got to send this message out really quickly. How high is my prediction for today? I mean, it's really going to depend on if we can break these highs from today, right? So if we break these highs from today, if we just kind of look at this chart, we don't have a lot of resistance ahead. So when we don't have a lot of resistance ahead, it can just continue to float. Personally, for me, I'd like to see what it does and if this hits 1 billion market cap today. That's realistically what I would like to see. If it hits 1 billion market cap today and kind of blows off a top over that, I would expect some people who have been riding this back here, riding this back here, to be taking profits. Even people who got in yesterday to be taking profits. That's going to mean one more blow off top, and you could see probably 30 between yeah, I mean probably between, over 25, between 25 and 30 would be an ultimate price target for today if that happens, right? If that happens, again, we're going to need a little bit more juice for that to happen, but what's going on in the chart here is still pretty healthy. Okay, it is pretty healthy. And then again too, it really depends on what someone has invested into it now, you know because that P&L on that, profit and loss on someone's screen is really the emotional dictator on what people do. And if you have people making, 5x 10x on this name literally in a week, you're going to expect money to outflow. And when money's going to outflow, it's definitely going to pull back. But you need inflow of new money. And what the inflow of new money is going to be is going to come from the regular normies, right? If you're not in, I guess maybe the question should be, are you in already currently and wondering where it can go, or are you looking to get involved? Because it's two different plays for two different people, right? For someone who's looking to get involved, I mean, I would say anything between 16 and 20 is probably a good load spot for a potential blow off over 25 into 30. And again, be really, really mindful of what's going on when we hit $1 billion market cap. Right now we're trading at 878, so $878 million on the market cap. That's not that far off. I watched this go literally this morning. I've been up for hours already, but in the last 4 or 5 hours I've watched it go from 550 to 600 to 640. I mean, it's just chugging along, right? So I would expect there to be some type of reaction at $1 billion market cap, because it's going to be like a huge accomplishment for the name, right? And depending on where price is sitting at $1 billion market cap can depend on if we're going to consolidate around there, right? Now again, you know I'm not the best at, drawing out where potentially a lot of these names can go. This is not really my field. I trade equities, I trade futures. It's But the technical analysis is all the same, right? It's all the same. So realistically, all the same patterns that I play on a day in and day out basis anyways, just implemented into a different asset class. Again, anytime you have something that hits all-time highs, there's never a price target that you can put on it. Because just when you think it can't go up anymore is when that person sells, and they're looking back 2 weeks later and they would have, 5x their money, right? I will just say this: you do want to buy on the dips, not when it's surging, right? So a great opportunity was when we blew off the top the first time and we pulled all the way back. 17, we pulled back. 16. Those were dips that you wanted to buy short term, because we did have support areas there, right? Even when we kind of, bounced a little bit, pulled back into 18s. I mean, all of these would have been good loading zones here where, you'd be in the green right now. So we are getting this push up here again, guys. Again, I'm looking at the 1 minute time frame. So, you know, each candlestick that you see here is a 1 minute candlestick. And it's doing exactly what we said we wanted to see it do here. We wanted to see it break 20s and hold, right? So look at when we broke 20s right here in this zone, right? If I kind of zoom in a little bit, look at how we broke 20s here. We kind of pulled back, held the trend line, and now we started to really push up. Once we started to really push up over the 20s, we pulled back once with a strong conviction hold here. So now we're kind of pushing back up into the sweet spot. I mean, this is pretty, like, it's exciting to see this type of shit, because what's going to happen is there's definitely going to be, you know, here's how I would play it, right? 2025, there's going to be multiple opportunities like this. It's not going to be your last opportunity, right? It's not going to be your last opportunity. It's not going to be your last opportunity to get in on something like this. I would definitely still get involved, to be honest, but it's not going to be your last opportunity. How I would play these markets, on in 2025. The whole crypto space, okay? And I'm speaking to people who maybe don't understand the whole crypto space, right? The whole crypto space is built on narrative, right? It's built on FOMO. It's built on emotions, right? It's built on the theory and the idea of what could happen, what is happening. You know, it's a competition between this name and that name, right? So when you really think about it, I mean, we're back up here again, kind of to where I was at a little bit this morning here on this price. I want to see if realistically, you know, again, I'll get to my point in a minute, but what we're looking at here is you're looking at a little bit of a double, a potential double top here, right? Now, in terms of technical analysis, this is definitely going to be something to kind of keep in mind, because although this push is good and this push is strong, it doesn't mean that we're going to break through it before a potential pullback. So on this pullback, we need to see how far it pulls back. Now, what you're going to want to see is you're not going to want to see a pullback that just slams through 20s and slams through 17s on this pullback. It can come to 20s. It can come a little bit lower, but we're not going to want to see us start building prices below 17s. You're going to want to see us hold that area, because we have broken out here of this first initial pullback zone. And however, until we take out highs from this morning, you kind of have to expect that this run is going to get hung up, right? So when it starts to get hung up, depending on where you're at, like if you're just a short-term trader, I mean, you load the boat here down at 16s, you're selling at 21s, you've made a nice little bag for yourself. If that's your intention. If your intention is to see where this thing's going, you just want to see the chart just cooperate with you. And what I mean by cooperating with you is you want to see it cooperate to a point where it's not breaking down, but when it pulls back, it holds a higher level and then kind of goes higher, right? So you're getting a lot of profit taking coming on the books right now, from what I can see. A little bit of profit taking here, and this is nothing to be too concerned about. And you know, it's almost to be expected anytime you kind of push back up. So what I'm looking at, again, how you're going to play this cycle, unless you've been kind of holding bags, right? Unless you've been holding bags on a lot of names for a year and a half, and you kind of just been shuffling your bags around, you're definitely going to get some rotation in 2025, especially with the administration being very welcoming of crypto in certain names and US-based names, you know, with the idea in the fruit hanging over our heads with no capital gains tax. You would expect some of the US names to kind of definitely drive a lot of momentum this year. I mean, because that's very, very big, right? That, I mean, in terms of, you know, from a money standpoint, you know, no capital gains on US based cryptos is extremely bullish. Here's how I would do it. If you're new and you're barely coming into this, I would not get into these names expecting, you know, put in 1,000 and make 50,000 on one play, right? I think those days are gone. I think you would have needed to have already been in. Now, again, before someone wants to say, well, this name and that name and this pump and that fucking bullshit, what I'm saying is that those plays are out there, but the reality of you catching one of them is going to be slim to none. How I would play it would be like this. Again, especially if this is your first cycle, right? If this is your first cycle, you're going to want to get your feet wet. You're not going to want to get blown out of the water because you're shooting for the stars trying to win a lottery ticket, right? So what you're going to want to do is, if you can get a even $1,000 in for a 2x double up, 3x double up, you're going to want to sell, right? And you're going to want to take a lot of that capital, maybe put just a tiny bit into your pocket to kind of keep that bank flow going, and you're going to want to reinvest. And what you're kind of looking for is anywhere between a 1.5 to 3x double up on each particular play. And when you get that, you're going to go from $1,000 to $10,000 very quickly, right? And when you're in that kind of $10,000 mark, that $10,000 on a 1x, even 1.5x double up goes from $10,000 balance to a $20,000 balance to a $25,000 balance. And it's going to happen very quickly. You know, you're going to find these opportunities. And again, it's going to come from the narrative of what's going on, because this is not necessarily like, you know, the stock market where you're betting on companies and you're betting on earnings and you're betting on this. Sure, you're betting on the potential future of a lot of this stuff, but let's be honest, a lot of this stuff has no use in the real world as of now. Now, you know, the tinfoil hats can come at me all they want for this is doing this and what about this and what about that. Guys, 90% of this stuff has no use in the real world yet. Right? Yet. And we've been saying that for years and years and years. But the thing is that doesn't mean that there's not going to be areas of opportunity to make money, right? Look at this pullback. So again, we kind of pulled back into these 20s again, and you're going to want to kind of see these 20s start to hold. We want to put in a little bit of a higher low here. What we don't want to start to see is start to drop below 18s and 17s. Again, it's not the end of the world, but you kind of just don't want to see that, right? You don't want to see, because a true double bottom would mean that we're going to at least test 16s. Now, if we test 16s and you were interested in, you know, getting into this and you don't buy it to 16s, well, then that's shame on you, right? You know, because a lot of times as people are profit taking here, right, where you do see it start to pull back a little bit and you're not buying, and then you're buying when you're putting in new highs again, you're doing it wrong, right? You need to be buying at the areas of support, not buying when you're putting in new highs. You sell when you put in new highs. So you ever wonder why sometimes you buy when the market's going up and then it pulls back on you and now you're negative? Because you're supposed to be selling out, right? Like, I mean, God forbid if anyone's holding, you know, for the last couple of days and we start breaking out of highs here, if you don't take a little profits off the table, if we eventually break 23s, 25s, that's shame on you, right? And I'm not saying sell the whole bag. I'm just saying take a little cash for yourself. Right? Take a little cash for yourself. So again, we'll kind of have to wait and see what this wants to do and how far this pullback wants to be. But I mean, realistically, you know, 10,000 in on this yesterday is, you know, literally 20,000, 25,000, 30,000 today. Okay. So, I mean, that's how fast it can work. And realistically, if you find 2 or 3 of these plays all year, even if it takes you all year to find 3 or 4 of these plays with a $10,000 starting balance, I mean, you're talking about, you know, turning $10,000 into $100,000, $200,000 before the year's end, right? So, I mean, when you hear the stories of, you know, the kid who, you know, turned his fucking last $15,000 bar mitzvah money into $1.5 million, there's a reason and there's a way how, right? So, again, but it's not for loading the boat. In my opinion, again, people can do things differently, but I'm just going to, now we're getting some buyers coming in here on the tape. What the thing is that, you know, catching that once in a lifetime generational opportunity is like hitting the 10-leg parlay, where you put 10 legs on a parlay for $10 to make $10,000. Is it going to happen? Maybe once in a lifetime, right? Maybe you hear about it on social media. And it's the same way where, you know, you were in on the move as it was just nothing and no one was thinking about it, and then it explodes and then you make millions of dollars. The idea of you doing that is slim to none. Okay, it's slim to none, because for one, your average normie who's just coming into crypto or just coming into these markets and kind of experimenting a little bit, you don't even know where to start. You don't even have the knowledge, right? Like, having money is great, but if you don't have the knowledge, it's no good. Just the same way as having the knowledge on what's going to move, but having no money does you no well. Right? So you gotta kind of have to have a little bit of both, right? You're gonna have to have a little bit of both. You're gonna have a little bit of money, and you're gonna have to have a little bit of knowledge to kind of see exactly where these things could potentially go. And instead of trying to hit the 100x or the 50xer, I would focus on a little bit safer plays, a little bit slower plays where you're not gonna have to get in and out in, you know, 5 minutes, but a little bit safer to where maybe it is a week hold, maybe it is a 3-week hold, maybe it is a couple day hold. I mean, in this particular situation, the damn thing about this particular situation, even on Toshi, is that 2 days ago to start the weekend, you could have fucking 5x'd your money. That's the thing. $1,000 in for $5,000 out. 5,000 in for $25,000 out. Literally, right? I mean, like, you know, at least 3x. It depends on what you where you got in at. But the thing is that this can happen in a couple of days, right? It can happen in a couple of days. Now, the smart thing to do, though, the smart thing to do in those situations is when you do 2x or 3x your original investment, you pull it. Because you have to understand you're not going to be the guy with $1,000 who's going to turn that into $100,000 on one play. It's like the guy who's trying to hit the 10-leg parlay today on Sunday football, right? It might happen, but what are the odds, right? If you think about it that way, you're going to double and triple your money a lot faster. And the more money you start to double and triple up, the faster that overall account balance is going to grow. Okay? So, again, that's where we're at with that. That's where we're at with that. But the thing is that you also need to you know, do a little research for yourselves, right? You can't just come across the feed and say, hey, everyone's buying this coin, everyone's buying this token, is it time for me to get in? You got to do your research on your own. At the end of the day, you got to kind of have to know what's up, right? Now, for when you do know what's up and you do have a little bit of knowledge, right? You do have a little bit of knowledge, it's all the more better, because as all these normies start to come in and buy in, who do you think that they're fucking buying from? From you, because you had the knowledge, you had the money, you were already in the play, you're selling on them. That's how liquidity, that's how marketplaces are made. Okay. You were in at 950. Yeah, you're in about where I was at yesterday. I did sell half of my position this morning. I've still got about half. Yeah, I was in at the 9s yesterday. Or was it yesterday or the day before? I can't remember. This thing has been fucking flying literally since yesterday. So you sold at 14s. You sell a whole bag. I mean, we selling at 14s was good. I mean, I'm sure you probably felt like shit when you seen it touch 20, 22, 23. But it is what it is. I mean, it definitely can be a little bit of a pullback spot as well. Right now, what I'm looking at is I've got strong support between 15 and 18. Okay, so I would say anything between 15 and 18. Between 15 and 18, you're gonna be good if you want to double down on it. That goes for everyone else. Say if you're just a kid with no knowledge and don't know where to start, and there's not a lot of info on it, where to start? Well, where I would start personally is start with Twitter, right? Because again, like I was kind of saying earlier before you jumped on, the thing is this: all of this stuff is built on a narrative. All of this stuff is built on, you know, what can happen, right? And the more FOMO and the more hype behind certain names and certain utilities and certain tokens and certain memes and this, that, and the other is what really drives this stuff. So I would definitely see what people are talking about on crypto Twitter, where the narratives are going. And then once you kind of see where some of these narratives are going, what you need to do is you need to start learning how to do chart work. So technical analysis, because at the end of the day, without the narrative, the stock's going to go straight up and then straight down, right? You're not really going to know where the potential is at anyways. But if you start doing and learning technical analysis, you're going to start to see where's the best buy opportunity for a dip. Where can I potentially sell, right? So like, again, I brought up the example, even a short-term trader. Let's just say I'm someone with $10,000, right? If I'm someone with $10,000 and I just, you know, I woke up and I seen, oh man, this Toshi, you know, it hit highs and it pulled all the way back. I've got firm supports here at 17 to 15. So this was a buy zone. This was an absolute fucking buy zone here, right? Even short term. And when I say short term, I mean, we're not even talking about that long. We're talking about, you know, 2 hours time. You could have made a nice bag on a quick trade here, right? Again, that's for a quick trader. Again, I don't know what people are, you know, if you guys are bag holders, hodlers, or you guys are, you know, quick traders, it doesn't really matter. But the thing is that felt like shit this morning. I need to practice on exit strategies. Yeah. Just basically, you know, it's all about learning chart work, you know, just support and resistance, see where buyers are comfortable. Again, because this isn't a marketplace, right? So when things are built on FOMO, things are built on narratives, things are built on people's emotions, especially when you're making money, right? When people are making money, you got to think about it. Where do buyers start to feel pain, right? Now think about it. For you, even if you bought at nines, are you really feeling pains here at 19s? No, right? I'm just saying if someone bought at nines yesterday and now it's 19, you're not feeling any pain there. So for someone who's in at nines, there's no emotional pain there. Why? You're in the green. You're still positive. The only people who are feeling pain right now are people who bought the fucking top up here, right? The only people who are feeling pain is when we started to pump this last time here back in over 2021s are feeling the pain. That's it. Right? You're feeling a little bit of pain here. But again, just because you're feeling a little bit of pain here, does that mean you got to sell out now? No, the chart is still bullish. The chart is still showing upwards momentum. All this is just more accumulation here. It's nothing crazy, right? It's nothing crazy. And again, I think it still has a lot more room to run just because of the easy accessibility in being able to buy it, right? On the exchange. Because again, for your average normal person that does have deeper pockets, that does want to get involved, they're not going on to Phantom Wallet. They're not going on to all of these other exchanges. They're not swapping coins, to get into these plays prior to coming on the marketplace. Like I said, they want to log into Robinhood. They want to log into Binance. They want to log into, Coinbase. And they want to click buy. That's all they want to do. And then they want to see the P&L go up. Great. We're not even listed on those other exchanges yet. Think there'll be another drop. Yeah, I mean, if we do drop, it depends. We have to see what we do if we come back to 17. If we come back to 17 and get below it, I'm going to say that the drop's coming to 15. Okay. So I have 15 and 17 would be buy opportunities. If it does lose 15, that's a different story. We'll deal with that when it comes. But as of right now, it's looking like 16s is going to hold for the short term. And the reason being is because when we put in the high all the way down to, from what is this, 23s, 24s, all the way down to 15, 16s, notice where that's matching up. It's going back to yesterday, that resistance spot where we kind of sold off a little bit. So this current high is acting as new support. This is bullish, right? This is bullish. This thing breaks out today and hits $1 billion market cap, you're going to expect this thing to fly. 26s, 27s, 30s. That would be my target. Again, maybe into tomorrow. Maybe it's into tomorrow. Maybe today we just kind of consolidate for the rest of the day. You kind of have to think about what happened early this morning. I mean, early this morning, the thing absolutely juiced. It absolutely juiced. Over 16s, it just juiced, right? So, all in all, still bullish on this name. Toshi. And the thing is this too, even for me on my crypto Twitter, right? All of my big time influencers, you're not really getting a lot of pump on it yet. It's more so a lot of community pump, which can mean one of two things, right? It can mean one or two things. It can mean that your bigger crypto players in the space, the people you normally see on crypto Twitter, that they're loading. They're loading. When they start to pump this, like when this is on your general timeline, again, it depends on who you follow and how your algorithm is set up. But when this really starts to get really pumped, let's say we hit $1 billion market cap, 1.2, 1.5, if it goes there, today, I don't know, but I'm saying when it gets to that level, and then you start to see this thing being shilled all over the place, then and only then am I going to think that there's going to be a bigger pullback to where it might base out for a little bit of longer times, because of those bigger influencers, those bigger players are now selling on that new influx of liquidity. Does that make sense? I mean, that's the way that this game works, right? That's the way that this game works. So, until you see that, you kind of have to expect that this is kind of just going to grind and trickle higher. And then you're going to get that one last kind of blow off top. Now, does that mean that it's going to go to zero? No. But what I'm saying is that's going to be your opportunity to sell for probably the highest bag that you're going to see for the amount of, that you're holding, is what I'm saying. So again, like, you can find a lot of people who are in on this, who have been in on this on the actual Toshi community. You see a lot of those people, but you're not really seeing the masses. You're not really seeing the masses yet. And it's when you start to see the masses is when you're going to want to start to unload. Again, because you got to think about it. It's because it all comes down to this. You're not going to take $1,000 right now and turn it into, $1 million. It's not going to happen. You're not going to take $1,000 right now and turn it into 100,000. Not right now. You're too late. You don't have enough, and it's just not going to happen. But does that mean you can't take 1,000 to 3, 1,000 to 5, 1,000 to whatever? Yeah. Community is going to get in early, and that's kind of what's in right now. And then all of your bigger influencers will be next. And then, like, if you hear media, that's the last straw, because that's going to be your 65, 70-year-old dude, your 50 through 60-year-old woman who's saying, wow, this thing can reach a penny. This thing can go to 2 cents. This thing can go to 3 cents. That's cheap, right? Yeah, the next buying opportunity would be somewhere in 15s. If you can get this somewhere in 15s, that would be ultimate buying opportunity short term. If it dips below 15s, then I'm thinking 13. So between 13 and 15 is going to be your next best buying opportunity. Now, here's the thing. If it never gets there and you miss the boat on it, you got to start looking at other areas. So if I was to give you areas right now where there's potential areas to kind of load on this, it's going to be in order between 17, okay, 15, 13. Those are the areas, because all of that is still buying at yesterday's support, at yesterday's resistance. If we were to break through yesterday's resistance, okay, then we would have a little bit bigger problems with the potentially bigger pullback. So those would be the short-term areas right now. I mean, I could go all the way down to, hey, if you can get this thing at 11, great. But what if it doesn't go down to 11, right? What if it goes to 15 and then you're looking at 30s tomorrow, right? So if we're talking about dollar cost averaging situations, right here we're at 18s. I mean, if I can get this to dip into 17s or low 18s, it might be one area of opportunity. If it keeps sinking, I would try to get it around 16 and a half, because that would create a nice little double bottom here, and then you could potentially see that ramp back up. And again, I'm telling you, once you break out of 21s here, you're going to see those all-time highs, and then it's going to start to fly once more. So all of this is right now is just basic pullback and accumulation for the next move. 19's looking kind of good. Yeah, I mean 19, but the zone that we're at right now is between 17 and 19. So you definitely want to buy closer to 17s than 19s, right? And if we get below 17s, you want to buy closer to 15s than 17s. That's the way that it'll work. Again, there's no rush here because of the fact that this is not going to shoot up in 1 minute, right? Like it can, but it's not going to, what I'm saying is it's not going to go from 17 to fucking 40, in a minute, like where it's like, oh shit, I can't get this thing, right? This is not a pump where it's like the first day listed on Pump Fund and you got to worry about getting out. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you got time to kind of work this position. You got time to kind of like, and again, it's the first meme coin on Coinbase, right? So it's going to be the top dog here. It's going to find its price level. It's definitely not done. Are you going to see pullbacks? Absolutely. If you're going to get shaken out of the pullbacks instead of buying, then you're going to miss your opportunity anyways when it does come, and this is not the play for you. But so we can kind of zoom in a little bit closer here. So you know, just based on technical analysis, you have a one leg down here, then you have a little bit of a bounce, then you have a new leg down followed by consolidation, followed by another leg down, right? So in technical analysis world, this is staircasing down into support. So your next support between 17 and you know, in the low 17s is your next support. However, this structure right here, these previous 3-minute candles are a little bit bullish momentum. Now, where is it going? If I was going to say, if this continues to go higher, probably 19 again. And again, until you get over 19 and close above that, that's the little range that it's going to play in here, between 18 and 19, 18 and 19, until either this low breaks down and it goes to 17s, or we break over 19s. So for someone who's looking to dollar cost average into this, you know, this is the zone that you're in. You cannot feel any emotional pain between 17 and 19 because that's your buy zone, right? That's your buy zone. A sell zone for someone very quick, like again, I can give different situations. For someone who puts $100 into this, we go up to 21, 22. You're not going to feel like you made a lot of money. Someone who puts 10,000, 20,000 into this, it goes up to 22, 23, which is this next buy zone up here, right? It could also be a sell zone for someone who's loading up 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, right? They're going to, you know, look to make a quick bag on their money. Again, you know, it's all relevant to how much money you're playing. You know, obviously it's like this, the smaller dollar amount that you're putting into a play, the more you need it to run to make money. So what you need to be focused on if you're playing a small bag is you need to average in at lower spots. So again, if this is an average in zone here between 17 and 19, you're averaging here. If we get to 15 and 17, you're averaging in here. And again, I don't know if it's going to get this low right now within the next hour or two, but if you know, if it comes between 14 and 16, that's another load zone. Versus the mentality of people, normal people, is thinking, oh, it's going down, I gotta sell, I gotta sell, I gotta sell. And then tomorrow the fucking thing's up over 25, right? So again, you know, I mean, let's see what Twitter is saying. X or whatever. Again, for anyone who is on this, I definitely would not sell until we hit 1 billion. Just find better opportunities to get a lower dollar cost average and evaluate your position at 1 billion. You have to think about it. From 786 market cap right now to 1 billion is not that far off. I mean, we did that kind of volume, we did that kind of numbers early this morning in about an hour and a half, 2 hours. We did 200 million, 300 million in a couple hours, in a few hours this morning. The next run is definitely going to give you that fucking push to 1 billion. That's when I would start, and that's what I'm going to peel off more. I've peeled off once. I'm going to peel off a little bit more at 1 billion. And then I'm just going to hold some fucking runners after that, right? Then we just hold some runners. If this thing wants to go to a penny, let it go to a penny, right? Wants to go higher than that, let it go. But at least now we've made some money. We can rotate into some of these names. Because here's what happens. There's always a rotation, right? So when people take their money on this, it's going to establish a price, okay? And it'll kind of hang out there. And it'll go up and it'll go down, but it'll establish a price. But people are going to take those bags from Toshi and they're going to move it into other things that are going to potentially move, where they can 2x or double their money. Does that make sense? That's the way this game works. You can't sit here and hold for the fucking moon thinking that $100 is going to make $1 million, because it's not. Make your money, move it into another play at significant levels. And for me, that significant level is when we hit 1 billion in market cap. Now, am I saying it's going to stop at 1 billion? No. But what I'm saying is I can definitely take some of that cash and start to look for a new opportunity, right? While leaving some cash in here in case it does want to go to 5 billion, 10 billion, like all the tinfoil hats want to say. Again, I'm not a big crypto guy. Like, I'm not going to sit here and pump any one fucking coin. I'm just a guy who likes to make money. I come from the stock market. I come from the NASDAQ trading futures. Like, I just look for areas of opportunity to make money. I could give a shit less what the name is or what's moving. But all in all, as a whole, between the major names, I'm not talking about the bullshit, the major names, nothing moved this weekend, right? Going into Thursday, Friday, everyone talking about XRP this, XRP that. XRP didn't do a fucking thing all weekend, right? Ethereum this, Ethereum that. Ethereum didn't do a fucking thing this weekend. Now, am I saying that those are not going to do something? No, I'm not. They're definitely going to be movers, and I'm going to be heavily invested in Ethereum and a lot of Ethereum uh, things. But right now, there's money to be made here. So why not make some money here and then move our bags into somewhere else? And well, that's the thing, because most people are just shillers, right? They're just gonna shill. And again, because I'm not a crypto dude. I'm just a guy who likes to make fucking money trading. I'm not gonna shill. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and tell people, hey, never sell your bag, or hey, if you just put $100 in, you're gonna make $10,000 overnight. Like that. That's not how it works. That's not how the game works. I've been around the game for a while. Again, crypto game, it's all the same shit, right? It's all the same shit. I mean, again, like these are shillers, right? So like when you see stuff like this, watch Toshi go from 800 million to 8 billion in less than 10 days. That gives a lot of hope to someone out there that doesn't really understand a whole lot. I mean, going from 800 million to 8 billion in 10 days is a lot. I mean, we're talking about jumping 100 milli a day. Like, we haven't jumped 100 milli in one day yet. What makes you think that we're going to jump it every single day, right? So again, like something like that would be far-fetched for me in 10 days. Now, am I saying over the course of 2025, this cycle? Maybe this thing goes to 50 Bs, right? But what I'm saying is, if we're just talking about making a bag right now, in the next week, in the next 2 weeks, in the rest of this month, the rest of February, maybe 1 bill, 1.5, 2 billion, maybe, right? Maybe, like, those would be some pretty good price targets. It depends. Like if you see this son of a bitch get listed on Binance or Robinhood come this week, we're going to double up from here. So 22 to 44, something like that. I don't think you guys have missed it. I think there's still opportunities here. So I definitely don't want to scare anyone. Again, remember, like, I marry no name, right? So I'm not married to Toshi. I'm not married to any name. I'm just being realistic. But I would be a sucker to tell you guys that I'm not going to sell a little bit of my position here at a billion market cap. And I will hold probably my original investment. Because it's gonna be about a 3x double up for me. I will hold my initial investment just to see what the hell it does. Because at that point, the money's been made. The whole fucking thing can go to zero, and I already made money on it. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's how you have to approach your plays in this business, right? When you get a quick double up, and I don't care if it's you go from $100 to $250, right? When you do that, you take your initial investment out. That cash gets put on the side. We call it dry powder. That powder gets put on the sides. That's for future plays. If you want to take it all out, take it all out. If you want to, take out like half of it, take out half of it. But your initial balance that you put into a play gets taken out once you double up. Once you double up, it's a risk-free trade. You know who gets burned is people who put in 1,000. It goes up $800, right? $500. They don't take it out, meaning their original investment, and then they watch the whole thing go from $1,000 in now to 300, 400, and it's like they just lost, and now they're stuck holding bags. No, $1,000 goes in, you make 500, you make 700, you make 800 on it. Boom, pull that out, leave your initial investment, or you leave the 800 profit or whatever you're going to play with. You pull your initial investment, and then you let the damn thing ride, because essentially it can go to the fucking moon for all you care. Your original money came back, and then as it goes up, you start peeling off a little more, until eventually you're all out of the position. That is what it is, you know. See, so we're back up to this resistance level here at 19s. More money is flowing into it. That's the simplest way I can explain it. The higher the price, the more money that's flowing into it. So if you see it at $1 billion market cap, you know that the price is going to be a lot higher than where it's at right now. Oh yeah, 1946, 820. See how we're kind of trickling around this zone here. So this whole zone is holding between 17s and 21s. That's the range we're kind of playing in here. You want to see us continuing to go up. If we break this most recent swing high here over 2171, I'm expecting a double top at least to test those highs. I should have taken my initial investment profit, but instead dropped another 2K. So you have to wait. What's your average price right now? Where are you at? Where are you sitting average? I mean, you're probably still good depending on when you got in. What it's looking like to me is that initial blow off that we had this morning is going to just consolidate. This is consolidating. I'm going to be completely honest. I got 12 years of experience trading stocks. This is consolidating for another leg higher. That next leg higher is where you're going to want to sell that initial you're going to want to sell that initial investment. And if you want to leave a piece, leave a piece. But again, like I'm saying, we break the highs, we get into that $1 billion market cap. There's going to be money outflowing from this and into other plays. So you want to take your bag as high as you can take it. But this pattern that we're setting up here is a pattern to go higher. You're in at 16, so you're give or take, you're up a little right here, right now. It's not like, you're feeling that much pain. So I mean, it's not a bad spot. It's not a bad spot if we're thinking 30, right? So you're a double up from 30. Like again, if we do blow this top, again, it's always an if, right? I'm never gonna tell you guys that yeah, we're going to, guys. I'm not gonna say that. Like if we blow this top, 30 is an easy stretch, right? There's no resistance up here. So I mean, you're an easy double up from where you're at. Because from the point of, am I reading the same message here? Yeah, from the point, I mean, again, from where you were at originally to the first move was a decent push. I mean, I could have seen how you would take, like, again, like the example I gave. Here's the thing. If you pulled your initial investment, whatever you made or whatever you put into the play, and whatever, was unrealized gains you just left in there, you wouldn't be in a bad spot, because in the long run you got your money back for the play, and now you're just playing on house money, so there's essentially no stress there, right? Goes back to zero. It's just like, hey, I swung and I missed, but at least I didn't lose any money, right? The situation you're at right now, you could potentially lose money, right? Depending on if it goes lower. That might make you feel a little bit froggy, but all in all, I mean, the play still looks bullish, so I think you'll be fine. My opinion, we get back up to where we were before, I'd pull a little bit. I wouldn't say, you don't even necessarily need to pull your entire investment. Maybe just pull half of that initial investment. That way you feel okay about the hold. And then the hold becomes fucking easy after that, right? The hold's going to become so easy. That's probably how I would play it. Because again, in trading, the whole thing is low stress, right? You want to keep your stress levels low. Like, we don't want to be sweaty, right? Like, that's a meme. Like, you don't want to be sweaty in these things. You want to make money, and then you want to be risk off. You know, you're only risk on your initial investment, and then once you can get that double up on it, you go risk off, and then everything is just a home stretch. Yeah, because that'll go for future plays. I mean, telling you, there's gonna be a shit ton of plays this year in 2025. We're just barely starting this cycle. Like the cycle has been going on, but we're just getting ready for that. We're just actually starting like where shit's gonna start flying on a day in and day out basis, week in and week out basis. You know. So when you know how to play it, I mean, like I've seen dudes who go from starting with 1,000 2,000 bucks, and they've run it to 50 60 bands, right? 50 60 G's, in a season, right? And when I say season, it's like 6 months, 12 months. That's how I break my seasons down. Because you're playing smart, right? You catch one where you go from 1,000 to 4,000, and then you kind of pull your initial investment, and then you hit a double up here, a double up there. Next thing you know, I mean, the balances are just growing. It's always the dudes and girls or whoever. It's always the ones who are like, I'm fucking all in on this play. Let's just see where it goes. Like, I'm gonna fucking ride this shit to the moon. And then like they're in all this fucking profit, and then they're not realizing like, hey, you're just fucking holding into everyone else who's selling into you, and then you're done. Like, you're done. Like, we don't want to get stuck as bag holders. That's the thing. You never want to get stuck holding a bag. I'd like to see Solana to 1,000. I've got some as well. Between 700. If we can hit 700 this cycle, I'll probably start unloading there. Because that would be from where we're at now in the twos. That would be a 3x move from now, and that would put me up about 4.5x on the overall position. So again, like on those bigger names, I'm not really looking to make a huge money, right? Like if I can turn a 3x on Sol, that's all I'm looking for, right? Because they're big names, they're big names. It's like the same thing. Like right now, everyone's pumping up XRP. It's like, okay, cool. XRP, even if someone wants to get in now at a $3 average, even if it pumps to 6, it's only a double up, right? It's only a double up. So, how much XRP do you need to have to just double your money? 10,000 in can get you 20,000, right? If we double up, that's a good price. It's a good price. Anything in the hundreds on Sol is good. Because I don't think we're really going to see prices, in this cycle get into the hundreds again, mid hundreds. It's going to hover around here between 2 and 250. It'll hover around there before the next leg up. The next leg up is going to be about 350 to 4. That'll be the next push. So if someone's going to think about taking profits on Sol, it's between 3 and 400. And if you're going to really bag it, you're looking for 6 plus, right? 6 plus. And again, I wouldn't really expect that until Q3. So maybe after summer. If we could hit it before summer, that'd be fucking great. But we'll have to see how the market wants to pan out. Yeah, you always play with you always play money that you have, that you're not going to be stressing out about if you lose. It's like the same thing with sports bettors, right? Like, you don't go fucking put your mortgage or your rent down on it on a one parlay ticket. Like, you don't do that. Gonna get lucky? Maybe, but can you do it every like week in and week out? Probably not, right? So make sure you're always playing with money that you don't, that if it lose it, right? Like, I tell people this, like, you throw $100 on a slip. Like, if you would have threw $100 on, you throw $100 on a parlay slip yesterday, it bust. You could have thrown $100 on this shit and been up 250, 300 yesterday, right? Literally overnight. Same shit. Don't care about losing the parlay, right? Well, this is like the same thing. But You know, you're not going to go put $10,000 down on a fucking 7-leg parlay, right? So it's like the same thing here. If you're not going to go put $10,000 into Toshi, if you can't afford to lose that, right? You know, it pulls back 25, 30%. You lose $3,000, $4,000 off this thing, you're going to be pissed. So it's always being played with money that you can afford to lose. And when you get those double X's and 3X's, you're bagging that away and you're keeping shit going. So again, we can't bust over this 19 area here. This 19 is still acting as resistance. So we are staircasing down a little bit, but again, your support is down here around 17s. Okay? Your support is down here at 17s. So this is the range that we're in. So this yellow box that I'm going over, this is the range that you see how we have all this price action in this range, right? All this price action. This is like building a floor, right? These are all buyers and sellers. This is building a floor here in this range. You can't really see lower prices, you know, anything dramatic until we lose 17s. In that case, I would expect this low to get tested, right? I would expect a quick flush from 17s down into 16s for this to get tested. And I think from here, can start to see the turn back up because this is creating a W pattern. So this pullback I could see coming back a little bit more and then going back up. And if we break and you hit a Billy market cap, you know, you want to start selling out, right? At least taking something off the table. At least taking something off the table. What's up, Paula? Yeah, because they want to hit a quick bag on a parlay. Like they want to throw, you know, 5-game parlay out there for $20 and turn it into 250. It depends. You plan on just taking the bag and just walking away? Right? If that's the case, then yeah, put it in your bank account. But if you got to have powder, right? You got to have fresh powder to get into the next play. Like if you're going to play this year of 2025 and you're going to play this cycle, right? You want to leave it in the Coinbase and throw it into USDC. And then, you know, when you find that next opportunity, it's already there instead of having to go and to make a deposit again. It's like, what's the point? If you're going to pull some cash, right? If you're going to pull some cash, like I'll just give it an example, right? Let's say someone made $1,000 on this, or they made $500. They want to put 250 in their pocket. Yeah, deposit that to your bank, leave the rest, right? For the next play. You know, you made $1,000, you know, deposit 400 into your bank, pay yourself, and got to have that powder, right? You got to have the powder. So, but it depends on what you made. Like what I like to do sometimes is this. I like to see money coming in, right? Like I hate looking at numbers on the screen if I can't touch it, right? Like I need to touch the damn thing, right? I need to touch it. You know, I make 3,000 on a play, 1,500's coming out. And not only is it coming out, I'm going to go to the damn bank and I'm going to pull it out of ATM, right? And I'm going to look at it. I'm going to smell it. I'm going to breathe it. I'm going to touch it, right? And then the rest, it just stays in there and it grows the balance. And then that way we have money to do our next play. I'm just saying, you know, you got to make it real. So many people, right? I mean, again, I'm going to be honest. Like, I don't know, you know, like I don't really dabble into the crypto world talk, but I mean, a lot of these motherfuckers here are nerds, right? A lot of these guys just like looking at the numbers on the screen. I'm not going to lie, like no disrespect, but a lot of you guys just like looking at the numbers on the screen. Me, I like the money in my pocket. I like to see it. Make money, pull it, run the account some more and keep going, right? Kind of slowing down a little bit here. 800 million market cap. Again, this range, I'll just leave with this because I'm going to go to the gym, right? I'm not going to watch this shit all day. This is all I'm saying. That run up that we had this morning, the highs, nice. Now we've established the high. Now we can build some structure. Between 17 and 15 would be ultimate rebuy spots if you can. And then anything over 19, 20, you can potentially run into 22s again. Okay. So that just keep your eye on that. If you are looking to DCA and you're looking at the dollar cost average, if you can pick up this thing between 15 and 17, I think great buy opportunity there. Below that, you're going to have a little bit more room down at 13s. If we start to break over 19s, just hang back, sit on your position and hang back, right? Until we at least break the highs. You don't really want to be buying right now between, I'll call it 20 and 23. Don't buy there. Like buy it lower. That way you can sell at least a tiny something here, and then when we do break, you're out. With that being said, I'm out of here. I just wanted to jump on here because this is a play that I was looking at and see if anyone else was wanted to see what was going on. But I'll probably do an update depending on where this goes. I don't really cover crypto. I'm a futures trader, so but it is what it is. I'll catch you guys on the next one.